I was very fortunate to live in the time that I did. Title IX passed technically when I was 7 years old. The regulations weren't passed until 1975, so I was 10 years old. But my dad was a high school volleyball coach before Title IX, and I got to go to practices when I was a toddler and a young girl and observe girls playing sports and my dad coaching those sports. And that's really where I got interested in sports. And by the time I got to high school, there had been a girls basketball program for 5 or 6 years. So I had the opportunity because of Title IX, because of those people that paved the way before me. In high school, we had a lot of good opportunities. In college, it always felt like we were second best, in that we had our practice times were built around the guys' practice times. We, had inferior practice gear and travel arrangements and all of that kind of stuff. There was always this feeling of people didn't really care about women's sports as much as they did men's. And it was really magnified by the fact that in our basketball games, the women would play at 5 and the men would play after us at 7 or 7:30. So not very many people attended our games. It was hard to get there at 5 and there wasn't a lot of interest. And, it was disappointing. It was disappointing to go into a gym and play and not many people were there. And you go to the guys' games and it was full. But one time when we played Fort Hays, the game lasted a little longer than normal and ended up going into overtime. And so by the end of the game and into the overtime, all of a sudden, all these people were coming in for the men's game and we played really well. And we were playing for a conference championship that year and we beat Fort Hays in overtime. And I hit some big free throws at the end and there was a whole gym full of people there to appreciate and cheer us on. And so that was a cool moment to be able to share that and to be able to show people that we were worth watching and we were fun to watch. We've definitely come a long way in women's sports, providing opportunities for women. There's still things that need to be improved. It's really the mindset and the attitude of those in leadership positions in athletic departments, making sure that the resources are provided for both the men and women. You can't say that people aren't interested in women's sports because they are. And it's a matter of putting resources to marketing and promoting the program, making sure that the opportunities to be on television or streaming are offered to both the men and the women. I just attended a groundbreaking ceremony in Kansas City for the first sports stadium that will be built for a women's professional team. It was groundbreaking, literally and figuratively, because for the first time, a stadium will be built just for women, for the purpose of a women's sports team. It sets the tone for what's possible in the future. I am working on a documentary series called If Not For Them. And it's about those women and men that provided the opportunities for us to have what we do. If not for them, we would not have what we do today. And my belief is this, that there were women around the country in the 1950s and 60s that had opportunities to play. And when, at the end of the 60s, when we were at a point in our history where women were ready to compete for championships, the NCAA was not interested in women's sports. So the women had to form their own organization called the AIAW. At the same time, Title IX was passed, which was an education amendment. It was really never intended to be for sports. It was about providing opportunities for girls and women in education. And so to me, those women that had the opportunities in the 50s and 60s were ready to be our advocates. We're ready to battle. We're ready to change society and crush those social norms and overcome things. And they were our leaders through the 1970s when Title IX was passed to make sure that the foundation was built so that we as girls and women would have opportunities. And so yes, Title IX made all the difference because it finally was a law, a federal law, that you can't discriminate against women just because they are women. You have to provide opportunities in education, and that includes sports. It's made all the difference in my life, in my career. I've built a career in sports and sports broadcasting. I wouldn't be able to broadcast 60 to 70 women's basketball games per year on ESPN and other networks if not for Title IX and if not for them, those women that paved the way for us.